Dana White recently sat down with spinning back fist and ended up revealing far more than many fans expected. During the conversation, the UFC president addressed several major topics, including the ongoing Arman Tsarukyan situation, the promotion's upcoming transition to the Paramount era, future plans for boxing, and his thoughts on highly touted prospect Gable Steveson. White finally explained why Arman Tsarukyan did not receive an immediate lightweight title shot. He confirmed that the headbutt incident did play a role in the decision, but stressed that it was not the sole factor. According to Dana, multiple elements were considered behind the scenes. It was not one single mistake or moment, but rather a combination of issues that ultimately pushed Tsarukyan out of title contention for the time being. Addressing concerns about the UFC's move to Paramount, White reassured fans that the core identity of the promotion will remain unchanged. He emphasized that the broadcast will still feel like the UFC fans know and love, with only minor upgrades to the presentation. Nothing drastic, he said, and nothing that would alter the essence of the product. White also discussed Gable Steveson, confirming that the UFC has been monitoring him closely for a long time. While acknowledging Steveson's elite credentials and hype, Dana made it clear that success outside the UFC does not guarantee dominance inside the octagon. In his view, no one truly knows how good a fighter is until they step into the UFC cage, and accolades alone can only take an athlete so far. Finally, White explained the decision to launch the Paramount era with 2 back-to-back numbered events instead of fight nights. He revealed that the call ultimately came down to him, despite some internal disagreement. With the UFC coming off a 6-week break, White believed hitting the ground running with major events was the right move for the promotion's debut on the new platform. Justin Gaethje's camp is making it clear that his upcoming fight against Paddy Pimblett will not be limited to a stand-up battle. According to head coach Trevor Wittman, Gaethje's offensive grappling has evolved significantly and is expected to play a major role in the matchup. Wittman explained that Gaethje is no longer focused solely on defensive wrestling or scrambling out of danger. Instead, he is actively looking to control where the fight takes place, dictate the pace, and apply constant pressure. While many observers believe Pimblett's clearest path to victory lies in grappling exchanges, Gaethje's team insists they are prepared for every possible scenario, whether the fight unfolds on the feet, in the clinch, or on the ground. For much of his career, Gaethje has been known for strong defensive wrestling, but his approach has now shifted toward a more offensive, positional, and strategically driven style. Wittman emphasized that the goal is to control the cage, force opponents to react, and create opportunities to land damaging strikes from unexpected angles. The camp identified Gaethje's submission loss to Charles Oliveira as a key turning point in his development. That fight highlighted the limitations of relying purely on defense at the highest level. Since then, Gaethje has invested heavily in improving his grappling, with a particular focus on offense and control. Wittman described Gaethje as one of the most dangerous scramblers in the sport, capable of explosive slams and relentless pressure. He stressed that championship-level fighters must push opponents backward and keep them on their heels. Rather than fighting to avoid positions, Gaethje is now focused on winning exchanges offensively. One area Wittman highlighted was Gaethje's ground and pound, calling it unique and highly effective. According to his coach, Gaethje lands punches from unusual angles on the ground, creating damage and openings that few opponents are prepared to handle. An Olympic gold medalist from Dagestan has shed new light on recently surfaced training footage involving Khamzat Chimaev, offering a measured but revealing assessment of their wrestling sessions. Ushan Taika recently spoke with Razambek Jamalov, one of Dagestan's most accomplished wrestlers and a proven elite on the international stage, including Olympic-level competition where he captured gold. During the interview, Jamalov was asked about the photos that circulated online last month showing Chimaev struggling during a wrestling session. The images immediately sparked debate across the MMA community. Jamalov was careful to set the tone, emphasizing respect for Chimaev and making it clear that the moment should not be viewed as disrespect or internet bait. He praised Chimaev's physical strength, toughness, and competitive mindset, noting that these qualities make him dangerous in an MMA setting. However, once that respect was established, Jamalov explained that there is a clear distinction when it comes to pure wrestling at the highest technical level. According to him, Chimaev presented challenges in MMA-specific situations, particularly in clinch positions, where he used submissions and unconventional movements to escape. Those moments, Jamalov admitted, gave him some difficulty. When the exchange shifted to traditional wrestling, the dynamic changed. Jamalov stated that he consistently found success with double-leg takedowns and positional control. He explained that they wrestled when Chimaev visited his gym in Dagestan, and nearly every session resulted in Chimaev being put under significant pressure, not only in wrestling exchanges, but in broader grappling situations as well. The experience, Jamalov said, unexpectedly sparked his interest in a potential transition to MMA. Training hands-on with one of the UFC's most dangerous fighters and seeing his wrestling immediately create problems gave him new confidence in his abilities. While he had not previously considered an MMA career, Jamalov admitted that the sessions opened his eyes to the possibilities, concluding that a move to the cage is now something he is seriously considering. Jon Jones has publicly praised Islam Makhachev, placing the reigning pound-for-pound king firmly in the conversation among the greatest fighters of all time. The comments came shortly after Makhachev delivered a dominant performance against Jack Della Maddalena to capture the welterweight title, further cementing his rapidly growing legacy. While Makhachev continues to build momentum across divisions, the heavyweight landscape remains intriguing. Alex Pereira is still sidelined after breaking his foot during his title-reclaiming knockout victory over Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 320. Pereira is targeting a return in the summer, a timeline that aligns with several major events, including the highly anticipated White House card in June. His long-discussed move to heavyweight remains very much alive, keeping the possibility of a future clash with Jones one of the biggest unanswered questions in the sport, even if the exact timing remains uncertain. What makes Jones's praise particularly significant is the history behind it. Jones has previously had a tense relationship with Team Khabib regarding pound-for-pound rankings. Years ago, he openly disagreed with Khabib Nurmagomedov being ranked above him. More recently, similar tension emerged as fans, media, and even the UFC began placing Makhachev ahead of Jones in those same discussions. Despite that history, Jones was unequivocal in his assessment. He stated that Makhachev is definitely one of the greatest fighters of all time, and described him as a special athlete chosen to achieve great things. Jones added that he was not surprised by Makhachev's dominance, expressing excitement about watching the rest of his career unfold. While noting that there is still work ahead, Jones emphasized that Makhachev is on the right path and doing everything correctly, calling him one of the fighters he respects most in the sport. The discussion also turned to Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson and his potential future in the UFC. Dana White has expressed high expectations for Steveson, while also acknowledging how challenging the heavyweight division can be. Some analysts believe the division may not be as deep as it appears and argue that Steveson has the athleticism, mentality, and skill set to succeed immediately. Whether he can dominate or faces a difficult transition remains an open question among fans. Michael Chandler has shared his prediction for a potential matchup between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett, offering a unique perspective after having fought both men. Chandler previously lost a unanimous decision to Gaethje in 2021 and was stopped by Pimblett via TKO earlier this year, giving him first-hand experience with each fighter's skill set. When asked how the fight might play out, Chandler leaned toward Gaethje as the more complete and proven competitor. He described Gaethje as the more skilled, more experienced, and overall better fighter, noting his ability to handle pressure and dictate the pace of a fight. However, Chandler was also careful to push back against the narrative that Pimblett is overrated. According to Chandler, Pimblett is far better than many fans give him credit for. He suggested that Pimblett's appearance, personality, and perceived level of competition have caused people to underestimate his true ability. Reflecting on their fight in Miami, Chandler said he was not surprised by Pimblett's performance because he expected the best version of him, but still acknowledged that Pimblett exceeded public expectations. Chandler highlighted Pimblett's physical attributes and composure, pointing to his long reach, effective kicking game, patience, and calmness under pressure. Those qualities, he said, make Pimblett a dangerous opponent for anyone in the division. Despite that, Chandler ultimately believes Gaethje represents a different level of challenge. He described Gaethje as a unique force in the sport and, if forced to pick a side, said he would lean toward Gaethje winning the matchup. Chandler added that he sees Gaethje capturing interim gold and continuing his momentum with another major victory later in the year. Ilia Topuria has secured a significant legal victory in his ongoing dispute with his ex-wife Georgina, winning the first major court decision related to custody and travel arrangements involving their daughter. Earlier this week, Topuria appeared in court after Georgina requested permission to travel from Spain to Miami with their child. The court ultimately ruled in Topuria's favor, dismissing all of Georgina's requests. During the proceedings, she argued that she needed to leave Spain due to online harassment and safety concerns. However, the judge rejected this claim, pointing out inconsistencies in the timeline. Court records showed that flight tickets had been purchased nearly 2 weeks before. Topuria released a public statement that later attracted widespread media attention, undermining the basis of her argument. The judge also addressed the 4-month period during which Topuria was unable to see his daughter, stating that the lack of contact resulted from the mother's decision to deny visitation rather than any action taken by Topuria. This clarification was viewed as a key element in the court's ruling. With this legal matter moving in his favor, Topuria is now shifting his focus back to competition. The reigning star is reportedly targeting a return to the octagon in late spring or early summer, with hopes of resuming his career free from the distractions of the ongoing legal dispute. Daniel Cormier has revealed new details about how a reality show season featuring him and longtime rival Jon Jones as opposing coaches came together, tracing the moment back to an unexpected text message. According to Cormier, the entire process began when he received a message from an unknown number that immediately caught his attention. Cormier explained that the message arrived through WhatsApp, a platform he does not regularly check. When he eventually opened it, he discovered that it contained a video. As the clip began playing, the first person visible on the screen was a Russian man. Moments later, the camera panned to the side, revealing Jon Jones. Cormier admitted that the sight instantly triggered his competitive instincts. He said that one of the driving forces throughout his career has always been the desire to compete against Jones in any capacity. While he does not enjoy being around Jones outside of competition, Cormier made it clear that if there is one thing Jones should have learned from their years of rivalry, it is that issuing a challenge will always get a response. Cormier emphasized that he does not always know how his response will play out, but he is certain of one thing: when he is challenged, he answers. That mindset, he explained, is what ultimately led him to agree to the project and step back into direct competition with Jones, even if it is in a different arena than the octagon. The revelation offers insight into the competitive dynamic that continues to define one of the most intense rivalries in MMA history, showing that even years after their final fight, the tension between Cormier and Jones remains very much alive. Michael Bisping has shared a confident assessment of Islam Makhachev's position at welterweight, stating that he does not see anyone in the division beating him anytime soon. Speaking candidly about the current landscape, the former UFC champion made it clear that Makhachev stands a level above even in what is widely considered the most stacked division in the sport. Bisping acknowledged that the welterweight class is loaded with elite talent and compelling contenders. He noted that there are numerous fighters who, on paper, appear to have the tools or stylistic attributes that could pose problems for Makhachev. However, despite those possibilities, Bisping remains unconvinced that any of them are capable of dethroning him in the near future. He also touched on the recent discussions surrounding Michael Morales, who had been widely regarded as undefeated before a record correction surfaced. According to reports, Topology later discovered an early career bout that had not previously been accounted for, leading to Morales' record being updated. While Bisping acknowledged the situation, he emphasized that the technicality does little to change the reality of the division's depth or competitiveness. Ultimately, Bisping reiterated his belief that Makhachev's skill set, composure, and ability to dominate opponents make him the clear favorite against anyone at welterweight. Despite the number of dangerous challengers waiting in the wings, Bisping concluded that, for now, he is firmly backing Islam to remain on top of the division.